Hi, everyone. I'm Becky Cope English, partner and managing broker of the agency Chattanooga. Welcome to Real Chat, where we explore all things Chattanooga, people, places, and properties that make the scenic city so attractive. Whether you're buying your first home, selling your fifth, relocating for work, or tax advantages, you're in the right place. On this podcast, we break down current real estate trends, talk with local Chattanoogans making a difference, feature places that we love, and share our stories from the trenches that both entertain and surprise. No confusing jargon, no sales pitch, just honest conversations with real Chattanoogans and practical advice to help you buy, sell, lease, and live better in the greater Chattanooga area. Thanks for joining us, and let's get into today's episode. Lisi Chavarri, welcome.
Hi.
I'm glad you're here. I know this is painful for you.
Yes.
You're always the one I have to push.
You didn't push me.
To do marketing, and you're a people person. I'm not saying that in a bad way. I mean, like, you are a people person. You want to be out there talking to people.
Just in action, but not behind the camera.
Right, exactly. So, well, I wanted these little 15, 20-minute interactions to be about stories.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you have a lot of them.
I do.
I want to talk about this one in particular, but before that, just so people know who you are, you're my Miami Manhattan friend. That's what I call you. So how long have you been in the business?
So collectively, I'd say over 15 years, almost 10 years in this market.
Okay. God, 10 years.
I know. Actually, it might be more. I did a few years in New York City and then at least 5 in Miami, so more than that.
Wow, you need to add all that up.
I know, I do.
And you are bilingual.
I am. Spanish was actually my first language.
Okay.
And then I went to kindergarten and came back American.
Came back American.
That's the way my parents said it.
Really?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, I love we have 2 bilingual agents. You're
Yes.
one of 2.
He's the
And-
best to collaborate with.
He is, isn't he? Giacomo. Okay, so we're going to talk about this little story. And I remember, because we all kind of get in this office and we collaborate and we tell our stories, and it's for education purposes mainly, but
Yeah.
sometimes it's to vent a little bit when we have situations. But this one is the one where you had the buyers looking at this property, which I think they loved.
They were in love with that
In
property.
love with the property.
It was generational.
Yes. But there was this little snafu, which we rarely come across things like this. And so it's one of those memorable transactions that you learned a lesson. And now, whenever you meet with your clients, that's in your repertoire of experiences.
Absolutely.
So tell me a little bit about it.
So I wouldn't say it was a snafu. It was more than that. But I just had the loveliest buyers. They were the most compassionate, easy to work with, open-minded buyers. And it's not something unusual to come across, which are tombstones and burial sites. I cannot pronounce that for the life of me.
Right.
But usually the heirs aren't alive. It's just something that you inherit with the property. And this was my first go-around for a living heir.
see. Okay.
So long story short, it's a North Georgia farm, less than 100 acres, beautiful, something picturesque. And there is a tombstone right behind the house.
like it wasn't it like 30 feet or something?
It was just close. You
was
could
close.
see it.
Yeah.
You could experience it. And this was the first transaction, not that this is real estate, but that I was negotiating the next tombstone to come and the access to it.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yes.
right.
So outside of our due diligence, we were trying to come to terms with the location of this and the walkway, because when you have living heirs, they have the right to
Come
come
visit their
and
loved one.
visit their loved ones.
Right.
All that to find out that they have a lot more rights than people don't know about, and it's something called common law in Georgia. So despite what you can come to terms with in an agreement, it will be overridden just because they can come whenever they want.
It's state law.
Yep. And not only that, they can actually, as long as it's like, it's slipping my mind, living heirs, they can continue to be buried,
To be buried there.
on site. So there is no end. It wasn't just going to be one person.
Ah,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
So your buyers eventually said, yeah, this is a little bit too much for me.
Absolutely, yeah. But it was the process going through it where they were just really difficult. The
So
sellers
you're
were
in- so
difficult.
paint the picture. They found the property, you put it under contract, you knew about this
Yes.
going in, but
It
then
was disclosed.
through your due diligence,
Correct.
obviously diligence being the key word,
Yes.
as an agent should, and you're good at this, you're thinking through 5 years down the road, but actually you thought like hundreds of years down the road of like how this would affect that particular family.
Yeah, we actually had to speak to an attorney that it was one of the very few that actually knew about the law and how it would be implemented. So it was, thank goodness for due diligence.
Yeah.
But yes.
Did you have to extend? Didn't you have to extend due
Yes.
diligence at one point?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Because normally we go into a contract with 10 days or
Oh, yes.
for 100 acres, it's probably going to be more than that.
This might have taken a few weeks,
Okay.
if I remember correctly. I've never seen so many drawings and renderings for
Right.
tombstones.
And you are kind of like not the only thing that you do, because you do all real estate, but kind of farms, horse farms, large land
Equestrian
tracts.
properties, yep.
That's your
Hobby farms.
Yeah, that's kind of your. I don't know. It's kind of how I wouldn't have thought that you coming Miami to Manhattan. Now you're in Chattanooga. Now you're doing farms.
That's just me.
You're not a farm girl.
No.
Do you put your boots on?
After the second visit to a farm, yes. The first time I showed up to a
'Cause I
farm
know
with
you-
heels.
I was gonna say you're a stiletto girl.
Yeah, it was fun.
all the way.
I'll tell you what, those buyers, they'll never forget me.
You got out in your stilettos.
I did.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I learned.
So now you dress the part.
I learned, yep. Now I have 2 pairs of boots in the car. And
Right.
snake boots.
And snake boots.
Oh, yeah. They're up to here.
Oh gosh, those you just triggered in my mind. When I was showing property on Lookout Mountain, in this one neighborhood which I absolutely love, Long Branch. I'm showing property. It's the only time this has ever happened to me. I heard, I think it was clear as day, a rattle.
I bet.
And I've never heard that sound in person. I've heard it on television. I've heard people describe it. I think went straight up in the air and took off, and remember thinking, I just ran away. The buyers were walking the property with me, and potential buyers. And
Did you leave them behind?
I took off running, and I'm like, I think, well, when you're walking around, they're not right beside you,
yeah.
but they're in the vicinity. And when I took off running, and I just said, I'm so sorry. I know I probably looked really silly, but I heard a rattle. And they're like, wow. And I'm like, I don't know if I still don't know to this day. I didn't see a rattlesnake, but it is one of the things about our jobs. I mean, there's people dangers.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of dangers, but we also have dangers with snakes and animals.
Ticks?
I was going to say ticks.
I
but
keep
don't wanna
a
bring
little
that up.
tick kit in my car.
Well, fortunately, I'd had a broker. So sometimes according to my mom, we don't learn you learn the easy way or the hard way. The hard way is you go through it yourself. The easy
Yep.
way is somebody tells you, well, I'd heard this story. So I kind of learned the easy way. When you walk into a property, especially like a foreclosure,
Yep.
you kind of look inside first. Well, I didn't think anything about it, and I walk in, and then I look down, and I had fleas all over my pants. I ran back out the door, but I'd had a broker who had told me a story of going to a house, flea infested, got so far into the house, looked down, pants were covered in fleas, and his story was, I just took my pants off and ran out and left them there. And I was like, well, I couldn't do that at that moment. But yeah, we have a lot of inherent,
Yes.
I won't say dangers, but inconveniences for sure.
My first sale here in, next to North Shore, it was an abandoned home, and it was raining that day, and I didn't pay attention. I just walked in, and I spoke to my buyer, and we went on with our day. And then that night, I was covered in welts up to my neck. And I had no idea what it was. And when my parents saw it, they're like, oh, those are flea bites.
Oh.
And sure enough, the next time I went there for the walkthrough, there they were. As soon as I walked up to the door, they just all kind of jumped on my legs. Oh, it's just, I'm sure we have.
Oh.
We just have to get this off our chest.
Yeah.
And those welts stayed with me.
Ticks are a lot. Now I'm sitting here itching, but ticks are a lot worse because I have had to take some ticks off, and my husband has had his fair share of tick encounters. But it's kind of the thing. the snake. Have you ever seen a snake while you were showing property?
Not while I was showing property, but from afar, like on hikes and stuff. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't. I mean, I know they
And I
look
did
like,
have
but
a
I don't know
black
if
one
there's good
at
ones
my
or bad
house.
ones.
Yeah, the black one is good to have. I just don't want it to be near me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forget that you did have one in your house, didn't
Yeah.
you? Or in your crawl space. Crawl
Outside,
space.
yes.
Got it. So I appreciate you being here.
Thank you for
I know we
having
have
me.
lots of stories. I'd like to have you come back and let's talk about how we met. We've worked together.
Oh, yeah.
I know we have some good stories together, especially when we met, which I like to tell people that
Yeah.
story. That was a very memorable, transforming time in my life, as you know.
Yeah. For both of us.
For both of us. I
That's a
know.
story of persistence, actually. I pestered someone long enough where they handed me off to you.
I know that's a good story.
Yeah, it's a good story.
I don't know if I can tell that one on.
I don't know,
on
you
the
have to
air,
ask
but
permission.
We will.
Yeah.
I will tell it. I don't mind. That person, you can't embarrass him.
Yeah.
So, well, thanks for being here.
Yes, thanks
You
for
look
having
beautiful
me.
today.
Thank you.
I feel
So
like
do
you've
you.
got a lot to do, a lot of appointments.
Yes.
So, okay, cool.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bruce Dodd, thank you for being here. I want to, obviously, this little back and forth is so that we can talk about the industry. And you're in the industry that most aligns with my industry, mortgage, real estate sales, real estate broker. And, I just saw, what was it, an Instagram post that said, kind of was making fun of these buyers who were waiting for rates to go down, that rates have gone back up. This is a conversation you have every single day.
Sure.
I mean, how many times a day do you get asked the question of like, what's interest rates and what are interest rates going to do?
Well, I get that question a lot. And so no one can really predict the direction of interest rates in the
If you
short
can, I wanna play the
short
lottery.
run. Yeah, in the
Yeah.
short run. Because if you could, you'd just make a bunch of bets on Wall Street and
Right.
you'd be
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
rich and famous. And so I think one of the things to think about isn't necessarily where interest rates are. It's where do I need to be from a payment standpoint?
Yeah.
And what does that interpolate into a house?
Yeah.
When someone is asked the question about, should I wait to buy a house till rates come down?
Right.
To me, there's a couple things in that answer. One is, well, sure, you could do that. However, we've seen when rates have come down significantly in the past, we've seen a corresponding increase in house price. So whatever affordability you gained because rates went down, you lost because the house went up. But the other thing you've lost, if you do wait and prices go up, is the net worth increase you would have gotten because the house went up. And so for most people, I would say if you don't own real estate today, you should. If we wait, even when rates went to 8% a couple years ago, we saw the market go up like 5-6%. So waiting for real estate, I don't think is ever a good idea.
I agree with you 100%, but you just have these folks who insist, I guess they're just hopeful that it's going to change. And we have conversations with people all the time. I'm sure you do, because you just explained it. I often tell people, take a piece of paper out, put this interest rate that you think is so great, that you want to attain, with the price of the house that you want to buy. What you're comfortable
It's often
spending.
not that
Okay?
significant.
Well, but let's just say then that you wait till this interest rate happens. What is the price of that home now?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's a zero net sum sort of exercise that you do, and how many more people are getting into the market to buy that home? It becomes much more competitive. If you are somebody that has a contingency to sell, if you don't have a big enough down payment, if you don't look that good on paper, you could lose out on that house that you want. Right now, buyers have an advantage. Even though the interest rate's probably higher than they want, it's still a lot lower than it was decades ago. I mean, you look over the course of time, and interest rates have gone up and down, up and down. When they were at their lowest that I remember, which was when I was getting 15 offers on one property.
Yeah. So I think so often people are looking at a very short segment of time and thinking that's how things have been. It's just not the case. It's just not the case.
Yeah.
And so rates today are not that far from where they've been sort of for the last decade, except for a very short period of time when the government was taking all of this extraneous actions, buying all kinds of mortgage-backed securities, buying treasuries, doing all those things to artificially push rates down.
But that affected inflation.
Yeah. So the thing is I would say for most people, if you look at the cost of waiting with real estate, significantly high.
Yeah. And I had written down on here, I call it the interest rate debate. Are buyers too fixed on rates? The buyers that you're working with right now, I'm sure you go through a coaching process. Or do you find that people call you because they're ready to buy? And they're like, just tell me what's the interest rate now. Obviously, I've just got to accept that.
Well, I think it's a mixed bag. I think sometimes as professionals in an industry, we're certainly concerned about certain things. I got news for you. A lot of people aren't.
Right.
A lot of people aren't. A lot of people are not.
Are you talking about like the bigger things, like the geopolitical things out there? Is that what
No,
you're talking
I'm
about?
even talking about interest rates.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Because I'm telling you, for a lot of people, they get to a point in life where they want to buy a house and they want to know what it's going to cost.
Yeah.
It's not some financial decision based on where our interest rates in their historical bell curve, whether
Yeah.
it makes sense for me or not. So I think sometimes real estate professionals are putting things on people that may not have been that big of a deal. For me, a lot of times a client really just wants to know, what's my monthly payment going to be?
Right. What do they say? Well, we were saying this when interest rates were going up. We say, marry the home, date the rate. Is that what we
marry the house, date the rate.
Right.
And I think that's accurate for a lot of people.
Right.
Because that's what we've seen, rates go down, prices go up. So that same
Well,
house is going to be more expensive.
Interestingly, as we were preparing for you coming in and sitting down with me, I began to think about all the houses I've sold over the years, almost 30 years in the business. I have never once had someone call me and say, I really wish I hadn't bought this house because of the interest rate. It's never happened.
No.
It's never, ever happened.
No.
So I think that people are too fixated. I think whether you say it's the real estate professional that is driving that,
I think sometimes it is.
so I think sometimes they do too, but then you have a lot of other people that would probably argue that it's the real estate agent pushing people to buy a home.
But if you think about this, for a lot of people, making big financial decisions is hard.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can find a reason to justify postponing that decision, sometimes we're going to do that. So I think you get some of that. But I think for most people, if you don't own real estate today, if you wait, first of all, how do we know that rates are going to go down?
No guarantees.
You don't.
Right.
You don't. And so if every month we pay rent, we're just making a payment for somebody else. We're improving
And they're not
somebody
losing money,
else's.
so they're obviously charging you
Yeah, you're just benefiting
to
somebody
cover
else.
property taxes, their interest, and everything else.
Yeah.
I tend to think that more people can buy a house than they think.
Sure.
I think that there is some inherent challenges with buyers who maybe their parents have rented, and so they don't understand the process, which is one of the reasons why I love this business, is so that I can hopefully, another reason for this podcast is take out to the world explaining that you can, but you need to get connected with people who are going to help you.
Yeah.
That's important. But if you have a job and you're, pretty good at managing your money, you will be able to buy a home.
Yeah, and for a lot of people, even if you're not that great at managing money, it can probably
Because you've seen a lot of credit reports.
Oh gosh, yeah. But if you think about real estate, if you just think about real estate as an investment,
Right.
if you look at typically one of the best, most consistent ways to invest money is to in the stock market in the S&P 500. Warren Buffett has said people that get to inherit his money, that's how he wants them to invest that money.
Right.
So if you look at that, the historic return on that's about 11%. If you look back to 1954, it's about 11%.
That's pretty good.
Well, if you think about real estate, return on investment isn't how much you pay for the house. It's not. It's how much cash did I put out? Because for most people, unless they're living rent-free, which isn't very many people, they're making a monthly housing expense today. Often it's very similar to what the mortgage is going to be. So the money you're investing in buying a house is really your down payment. Well, if we look for 20 years, real estate went up by about 4%. So just use that number. Just use that number. If you put down 5% on a house, that's your investment in the house.
Right.
If it goes up 4%,
Yeah.
it's like an 80% return on
Right.
your money. Warren Buffett has said he wants his heirs to invest in something that's 11%. You and I can help show somebody how to invest
Yeah.
in something but even if you put down 20% on a house, if it goes up 4%, that's a 20% return on your money. That's basically double the greatest investors of all time
Right.
advice to his progeny. So I think it's a pretty good investment.
But why is it? I mean, I think sometimes it's just really hard to get that through people's minds that, you can become a homeowner. What does that look like in terms of the hoops you have to jump through? And I mean this from your industry. Do people, when they finally get to you, I think they've made what I always call they've married the idea, I'm going to buy a home. But there is basically a path that you have to walk in getting pre-qualified. I mean, how many people do you coach that call you and you're like, you are ready to buy, here's what it looks like, or I'm going to help you get there?
Yeah, so there's a lot of people, but there's a lot of people that need some coaching, but there's a lot of people that are ready to get today. If you think about it, some folks think the mortgage process is some super difficult process.
Yeah.
Pretty easy. It's kind of
Good to know.
three things a mortgage this is really all there is to it.
Right.
Three things a mortgage company needs to know. We make it super hard. There's three things. How much money do you make? How much money do you have? And how much money do you owe? That's it. So how much money do I make? Most people work for somebody. Almost everybody in America now has an employee portal where they can download their first pay stub they ever earned for a company. So in about 2
that's
seconds,
easy.
you can get the documentation you need on how much money I make. How much money do I have? Almost everybody's got electronic online banking today.
Right.
It takes about 2 seconds to download a bank statement and upload it. And then how much money do I owe? We get your information, we pull your credit.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's
Right.
it. That's all there is to it. Now, for some people that are self-employed and other things,
Yeah, like me.
it's a little harder, but all we really need is the last 2 years' tax returns. So it's not that difficult.
No.
Nobody's going to ask you for your third grade transcript. It's not going to be a problem if you ran with scissors in the second grade. It's not going to be an issue. We're not going to know about it.
Right.
So it's three things. And so lenders try to make it super complicated. It's really just not.
I think, well, part of that is, and you can apply this to realtors as well, it's because, and it's, you're probably simplifying it a lot because there are things I know I
Really,
do.
basically it.
Well, but at the same time, you get that information, you kind of run them through your system, and then you've got to sit down and talk to them about, here's what you qualify for. Now, there's a lot of people that I think are smart because they don't necessarily spend as much as they qualify for.
Most people
that's
don't.
not. You guys are saying this is what you qualify for, but you might be comfortable here. Let's just say the average person that you talk to is going to qualify for a $400,000 house. You're going to talk to them about loan programs. So I think sometimes the complexity comes through, I got to choose.
So I
Which
think
path to go.
could be some people's experience. But I try to break it down to this.
You do a really good job at breaking it down, and I think
Yeah.
that's what I want in a mortgage lender.
Yeah, so to me, it's how many loan programs are out there are irrelevant. And people often, when I first talk to them, will say, hey, I'm interested in this, I'm interested in that. And I'll say, you know what? What I bet you're interested in is what payment is going to get me what house and how much cash do I need to go with it? And what's the best program from a financial standpoint for me to meet my goals? Mm-hmm. You don't care whether you're getting an FHA loan or USDA loan or whatever it is. Do you really care about what the title of the loan program is, or do we just want the best program for us? And so they'll say, what doesn't make sense is that I don't want to do a data dump. I'm happy to do it, but because I like to talk about stuff. But I don't want to do a data dump. I just want to find, let's get your situation, let's come up with the best options for you. And for me, it's typically is going to be, have we looked at houses at a certain price point and kind of where do we want to be from a house payment standpoint? Because you'd be surprised, most people are not way off the mark. I do talk to some that are, but most people that I talk to, because I mean, there's a lot of Googling and stuff going on. So a lot of people, their idea about what a house payment's going to be is not that far off from where it really is. The trap that a lot of people run into is they use all these online sources and they'll go on Zillow's payment, and it's going to be wrong. It's not taking into account the correct number for property taxes.
Right.
In our area, if you're in Chattanooga, it'll typically only give you one of the tax numbers in their projections. Their idea of what homeowners insurance costs is a little optimistic.
Well, it has changed quite a bit.
It's a little optimistic.
I had my PNC license at one time.
Yeah, but so no, we try to just make the process super simple because this is can be stressful. Yeah. Let's just try to make it not very stressful.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your team.
Okay. So I've been doing this for a long time.
By the way, why don't we say the name of your company?
Oh, Chatt Mortgage.
Yeah.
Chatt Mortgage. Yeah. But I've been doing this for a long time. I've been doing this 37 years. I hate to display my age, but I've been in the mortgage business for 37 years. I think the shortest tenure of anybody working with me is about 8 or 9 years, anybody on my team. I have the guy who runs my operations who kind of helps really manage all the paperwork and manages the interplay between underwriting. Been with me 16 years. One of the guys on my team I'm the only job he's ever had since college. He's been with me over a decade. My sort of client concierge has been with me over a decade. I think the shortest tenure with me is about 8 or 9 years.
So how many people?
I have 5.
So if somebody calls Chatt Mortgage, who do they get?
Well, so we work. I always want to talk to clients at the time that makes the best sense for them. And so when somebody typically is going to reach out to us, we're going to set up a time to talk to them. And their first conversation, other than just setting up a time to talk, will be with me.
Okay.
And we're going to determine kind of what your goals are, where you want to be, what questions do you have, and then we'll start the process. Some people start the process, they've done an application online before I've ever talked to them. And so we're actually jumping into specifics for them. But it can be over the phone. A lot of people want to do it that way. I'm kind of old-fashioned. I would probably rather hang out with you, get to know you a little bit, and have you come in and see me. But a lot of people don't want to do that.
Yeah. You mentioned people going online, and I'm hearing from buyers that, and of course it's with our tech and the phones, you go online, you start looking at houses, your phone automatically throws you into this orbit where now you're getting inundated with mortgages and all of this stuff. And they want you to do things online, and some of these people do fall into that trap.
Yeah.
And they enter their information, and now they're getting phone calls and just on and on and on. When people come to you, and I think that wears people out. I think it's really not. I think someone's experience in buying a home should be as easy and smooth and fun and beautiful as possible. But then you get hit with all of these things, and then I watch people go, this is just a disaster. I wish I'd never done this.
Well, so
what would you tell people to do? Not go online?
I don't know. Telling people not to go online is like telling my grandson, don't open this closet that's got all the secrets of the world in it. But
all the candy.
yeah, it's the wonderful closet, so never open it. So often people are going to do that. There are, a person can go on, and I think before you start processes, put your phone on the do not call list. You can go into optoutprescreen.com and select that you don't want pre-screen credit offers, and those things can kind of cut down some of that stuff.
Right.
There's a recent law passed. It hasn't gone into effect. It's going to limit a little bit. What has happened previously, as soon as you get your credit pulled, the credit bureaus sell that information to everybody who's willing to pay for it.
And it makes life miserable.
And they're going to halt that process. It's going to happen here pretty fast.
Good.
But I would tell people, buying a house is a big deal. Making sure you have a lender who's going to shepherd you through the process is a big deal. Often, I think you ought to listen to your team. I think a lot of people are going to start off with a realtor, and I think a great source of good referrals is from your realtor.
Yeah,
and I think, or talk to friends and see who they've had good experiences with. But I think that's best. So often people go online to, if you can advertise during the Super Bowl, you're not a low-cost provider.
No.
No matter how you dress it up, you're not.
Yeah.
If you've got stadiums named after you, you're not a low-cost
Somebody's paying for it,
provider. Yeah, and so they don't just give that stuff away.
Right.
And so I would
point.
tell folks, with somebody like us, we have access to all this. There is no mountain called Mount Kilimanjaro that only one mortgage company has scaled. There's no secret river that only one mortgage company. We're all getting our money from Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and Ginnie Mae. And so I get my money the same place all the big guys do. I just have less mouths to feed. So typically we're going to be better from a financial standpoint. Right. And I feel like with clients, if you're doing business with me, you're going to get to laugh and have a good time.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
probably
for sure.
not going to be the case most any other place.
Yeah. But I find that people sometimes think, I'll do this myself. Because we do have a lot of DIYers. I mean, HGTV created that in my world, going to a lot of homes that have been DIY'd, and it's unfortunate because they've actually hurt themselves.
Yeah, spend money on things that they're never going to get any money back from.
Exactly, but I find that people, now that we have our phones and we have access to the world, that a lot of people think I'm savvy enough. I can go online. I can go to this mortgage company online and enter my information, because they will tell you you'll get a better rate, or I guess the way that they sell it. But being in business as long as I have, and the sellers that I represent and the buyers I represent say the same thing, local lenders are important. I think local. Why? You should be able to go sit down eyeball to eyeball with someone. Yeah. And I prefer this because, and my husband and I have talked about this recently, you need that person to pick up the phone. If they don't pick up the phone or reply the email or text, you can drive to their office. Absolutely. And I think that's so vital.
Here's the thing, is you have to look at, so when someone uses an online business of any kind, the trade-off is typically I'm looking for better economics, and I'm willing to trade a little bit on service, because the online merchant may be cheaper than the cool little store in downtown Chattanooga. Here's the thing. That's fine for some stuff. But if you look at somebody who is going to go, I just made a mountain reference a second ago. If you look at somebody who's going to go climb a mountain, they're not buying their gear to climb the mountain at the cheapest place they can find online. They're going to a real outfitter. They're going to a guide that knows how to make sure that I live
For quality.
I'm going to live
Right,
through
right.
this trek.
Good point.
Kind of same thing with things important like buying a house. And so for us, in 17 years, I've never told somebody I'd do a deal that I didn't, unless there was a problem with the property, and I don't get to pick out the property. And so we're going to make sure that we do the work to make sure when we tell you you can do something, that you can. Why is that? Well, one is all I really have is my reputation, and that's important to me. But the other thing is, I worked from 6 o'clock at night till 6 o'clock in the morning loading trucks to pay for college. I know what it's like to work hard for money. I talked to somebody yesterday. They had gotten pre-approved with one of the national lenders. I won't say their name, but it starts with Z and ends in W.
Oh,
And they
really?
had gotten approved. Person made $4,000 a month. The house payment was going to be $3,000 a month.
jeez.
But ZW had approved
Careful,
them,
yeah.
had written a letter, and this person had started spending money. And the agent on the other side said, hey, why don't you guys check with the local lender, just make sure you get the best deal.
Right.
And so the person didn't even come close to qualifying. That's not okay with me.
No.
They'd spent $600 on a home inspection. They didn't have $600 just to blow.
Jeez.
Just to blow.
Yeah.
But somebody doesn't look at something close enough. Well, that person isn't accountable. They don't care. You're not gonna drive to Cleveland and see them.
Yeah.
And so for me, we just take that kind of stuff serious because I've worked hard. I know
Right.
what it's like to try to sweat and make money.
Yeah, and you like me, when you walk around the streets of Chattanooga or you walk in a restaurant, you see your clients.
Yeah, I don't want to have to I don't want to have to dive down aisle 7 when I see you at the Piggly Wiggly.
We don't have Piggly Wigglies
I know,
here.
but it's
I
funnier
wish
to
we
say
did, but
Piggly
we
Wiggly.
don't. So let me ask you this question, because we only have a few more minutes. I won't take up too much of your time.
Okay.
What's something buyers don't realize that can hurt them during the loan process?
So there's a lot of little things, but when you're in the process of buying a house, we just want to think status quo.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to change stuff. We don't want to go like to Klarna and buy stuff and set up 4 or 5 payments because guess what? It's going to show up. Sometimes
Right.
it's a problem. So we just don't want to make major changes in life. Now, I have had clients who'll call me up and say, hey, Bruce, I got a job offer. What do I do? Well, hey, if we're going to improve our life, let's figure it out together. I'm not telling you don't get the job of your dreams.
Yeah.
We'll still figure it out. But the number one thing I would say is communication. If you think something's a problem, it probably is.
Right.
It probably is.
And-
but it's best just to talk about it because it's not going
Right.
to make it any better not talking about it.
Right, solve the problems together.
Yeah.
And I think realtors and mortgage lenders like you, we work really well together because we have somebody, they want to buy a house. How do we get them where they need to be? Being accountable and being responsible.
Yeah, but the one thing that I think is super important that almost nobody does.
You're the only person that thinks it.
Nobody does, which is that I think before we think about buying a house, I think it's a good idea to just really dial in your family budget.
Mm-hmm.
Spend the time to understand how much money are we spending, how much money we spend on housing now, and where are we really? Because sometimes people are assuming I can't afford a payment of this. But then when they look at it, well, yeah, they could. And that absolutely is going to get them the house that they want.
Right.
Or sometimes they think, I really can't afford this. And then they start looking at it and realize they made some bad decisions. So it's like anything in business. If you just know your circumstances before we start addressing something new, it just makes a lot of sense. But I've had almost nobody comes in and says, hey, here's my budget that we just worked out. And this is how much I got to. I don't see people do that very
Yeah.
often.
But most people can buy a home. They just need to have a trusted resource that, they probably are ready to buy. They just don't know they're ready to buy. They may feel uncomfortable. I've always said this to people when they want to buy a home. I'll say, we need to get you with a reputable lender. Local is the preference. Here's 3, because we like to, obviously not steer people in one direction, but give them the names and phone numbers and email addresses of the ones that we trust, that our clients have trusted in. And you need to talk to them. And then it's a matter of you feeling more comfortable, because I really do think that people choose to work with people that they trust, number one. I think that a lot of lenders are kind of offer the same, because just like you said, you've got FHA, VA, THDA, USDA, conventional. So everyone kind of has all the same things on the table. And what really differentiates a good lender from, a little bit lesser lender is, I think, personality, experience, customer service, and helping them improve their circumstances instead of just the status quo.
Sure.
And I think you do that.
Sure. No, I think it's important. I mean, it's important to be working with somebody that you feel like has your best interest and that you feel like you can trust. How do you know that? How do you know that? Well, talk to people. Talk to people.
I think talk to people. I think it's a gut feeling as well.
Sure.
One of the things that, one of the questions I wanted to ask you is when the people that you're working with right now, as an example, what is kind of the average, down payment? Because I think down payments have changed over the years. When I first got in the business, boy, we were doing a lot of 97%, 3% down type of loans. So kind of what's going on right now in your world?
Well, I don't know that there is an average down payment. I think it depends on people's situations are very dramatically different. One of the things I try to get people to look at is for about every $10,000 you put down, it's going to save you somewhere between $65 or $70 a month.
A month, yeah.
So if we're buying our first house, my typical advice is let's use as much leverage as we can, because you're going to spend money on other stuff. And a bigger down payment, 10 grand, if it's going to save you $65 a month, would you rather have $65 a month savings, or would I rather have $10,000 in the bank because maybe I don't love this kitchen, that sort of thing. For other people, I think let's say a lot of people have a lot of equity in houses these days, a lot of equity.
lot.
And so
Trillions.
when they're selling a house, I think before we just go whole hog and dump all of those funds back into real estate's a wonderful investment. However, it's not particularly liquid. And so I think sometimes let's put down enough, let's hold some funds out. If we decide after we're in this house 3 or 4 months that we want to dump some more money in, let's do that, and we'll just recast the mortgage then. So then we just put more money in, we take the remaining principal, the remaining time, and we can get you a lower payment.
Okay.
And so a lot of times I tell folks, if we're thinking about we're just going to dump everything from the sale of this house into this new one, you still can do that, but you don't necessarily have to do it today. Let's do enough, and then let's be a little conservative just in case you change your mind.
Yeah, and to your point, we are working with a lot of sellers that are sitting on a lot of equity, and they are putting sizable down payments when they're buying something else, or they're taking a large amount and putting it in a savings.
Yeah, and so when I do loan, I do a lot of loans for very wealthy people. And very early in my career, I asked a super rich person, I was like, why are you borrowing money from me?
Yeah.
You could write a check for this house like 3 or 4 times other. And they just felt like there was other things they could do with their money that would make them more money. And so to me, I just try to do what rich people do. I think you want to do enough of a down payment, but you want to look at your other investment opportunities. But since you can't just recast a mortgage, as long as you're doing a conventional loan, I think it's a good idea to maybe, if you're thinking we're going to put down like 50%, well, maybe we put down 25%. And then we hold the other funds to the side that gives us some options, because once we dump it in there, if you get some other great investment opportunities or you decide there's some
Right.
more money you want to spend on the house, well, it's more difficult.
Yeah. I've recently had a client, his wife said, we're going to hold some money out. I want all new furniture. I was like, woo. Which people are doing.
Sure.
Especially someone that's lived in a house for 30 years. They have a ton of equity. They're selling. They have a huge lump sum of money sitting there. And their furniture doesn't match where they're going. I've seen people
Sure.
buy entire houses full of furniture because they bought the house because they have so much equity.
Sure, or is it a time that we go consult a financial advisor and make sure we're making the best financial decisions? Because windfalls don't happen that often in life. And often people are rushing. And look, I get it. We don't want to be in debt. But real estate's one of those things. Once again, I referenced Warren Buffett earlier. He said, you pay for things that depreciate. You borrow money for things that appreciate. And so
That's what you should
he's
do.
a pretty smart guy, so I
Right.
figure if he says it, maybe
Right.
it's worth looking at.
Well, I'm just happy to see sellers because I think our housing shortage, our inventory, and kind of like the kind of we're stuck in a way. We need people to sell homes so that people can buy them.
Sure.
And there are a lot of people sitting there on a ton of equity saying, well, I don't owe anything and houses are so expensive. And I'm always saying to them, but how much equity do you think you have? Almost always they are about half of what their house is actually worth as far as the
Yeah,
amount
their
of money they have.
perception.
Their perception is different. I talked to a gentleman years ago who came and looked at a house I had listed, someone I've known for many years, and he was, in his words, appalled by the price of homes today. And I said, okay, well, this is a $650,000 house, but what do you think your house is worth? He was about $200,000 off. And I said, well, let's just take that $200,000. This house is now $450,000. Does that make it make more sense to you? Like, he couldn't wrap
Sure.
his head around it, but it's the way, it's our perception, it's what we bring to the table. And I think you need to work with a good lender, a good realtor to kind of get you to understand all the way through the transaction, not just look at an interest rate, not just look at a particular loan program. Just like, don't look at a house that has some flaws and think, I'm going to keep looking for a house. You can make some improvements. We can make some changes. I mean, paint's the easiest, but there's a lot of things we can help
Sure.
you with. So, well, I appreciate your time.
Oh, my pleasure.
I could talk to you forever.
It's all fun. It's a good time.
I'm glad you took the time because I know your wife is recently through surgery, and you had a morning. But thank you, Bruce
Oh, my
Dodd,
pleasure.
Chatt Mortgage, and we'll have to have you back.
Sounds great.
Thanks.